If you're looking for a pair of earrings that will go with every outfit you have this holiday season, check out these silver and gold earrings. They have silver and gold components, crystals, and pearls. Check down below for a list of materials, and then we'll get started. The first step in making my silver and gold earrings is going to be making the components that I'll then link together. So you can see here I have a number of head pins. I have my rings. This is a solid ring. And then inside here I have a jump ring and my ear wire. And then the beads that I'm going to use are going to be my large teardrop, my smaller teardrop, and I have some pearls. So first thing here is going to be just making these components. And if you've done wire working before, it's going to be pretty simple for you. We're going to use our head pin, and these are 2 inches. And you're going to put your bead on here. And then we're going to use a series of a few tools. So you will need the flat nose or needle nose pliers. We've got some round ones here. And of course some cutters so you can trim the extra extra wire. I usually work with thread, so this is a little bit different for me now. So here I've got my bead on my head pin, and I'm going to start out here with my flat nose or my needle nose, and it's just flat on the inside. And I'm going to make sure that that bead stays at the bottom so I don't have any extra head pin here at the end. I don't want to see any of that. I want my bead to be all the way at the end. And I'm going to take my pliers and just bend this wire here at the top past the bead so that it's at a 90-degree angle to the bead. And then I'm going to use my round nose pliers. And I'm going to take these round nose, and now if you look at the round nose, you'll see that they are skinnier or thinner at the end, and then they get a little bit wider as you go back. So depending on how large you want your loop, you want to position your wire either towards the end or further back for a larger loop. And if you want to be consistent, you can take a little bit of, you can take a marker and put a little line where you want to consistently make your loop. And that will help you get it the same every time. So I'm going to take my round nose pliers and I'm just going to grip that wire, and I'm going to grip it, I'm going to grip the piece here that's bent. And so my wire or my pliers here are going to bite down on this wire. I'm going to take the wire up and around the top jaw. And then I'm going to flip these pliers so that now my piece is on the bottom jaw. I'm going to take my wire around the rest of the way, and then I can slide my round nose pliers off. So you see you have something here like a little loop, and you're going to have some extra wire. Take your wire cutters and go ahead in here and just trim off any extra wire. Now, if your loop isn't perfect, don't worry about that. Mine isn't either. So you can take your pliers, your flat nose, and you can flatten that out if you need to. So now we want to make a series of these little charms. And I call them little charms because that's essentially what they are, is just a bead on a head pin. So they look like little charms to start out with. And again, here I'm going to take my drop, put that on my head pin. I'm going to use my flat nose to bend my wire to the side. And I'm going to use my round nose here to make the loop and cut off the extra. And I'm going to do this with my 4 pearls. So I'm going to do this quickly here. around the top jaw, around the bottom jaw, and cut that off. Okay, 3 more to go. This is a really easy way to make something like a cha-cha bracelet. You just make a whole ton of these little charms and then string them through the hole, and they make a really fun little like cha-cha bracelet. Here we go, one almost to the end here. And you remember, you want to be pretty consistent with the size of the loops that you make. So if you want to take a little, take a Sharpie marker, put a little line on your pliers, your round nose. So you grip the wire with the same part of the round nose each time. So now I have my charms. I've got my larger one here. And then, oops, you know what? I got ahead of myself here. One of these, and that's why I have an extra head pin. One of these pearls I actually don't want to make a little charm out of because I want to use it up here. And so it's going to connect 2 pieces together. So I want to loop on both sides. You can see everything else that I have on here has the stopper on the head pin, the head on the head pin at the bottom of the bead, and then the loop at the top. But I want to use one of the pearls to connect the ear wire to the loop or to the hoop. So that pearl I'm going to do a little bit differently. I'm going to start here at the end of my head pin and grip it where I normally would to make the loop with my round nose pliers. And I'm just going to kind of spiral or curl the wire in on itself until it makes a little P. Looks like a little P if I put it this way. And then where the end of the wire curls around and meets the rest of the head pin here, I'm going to grip right in there with my pliers and then bend the stem or the rest of the head pin here back a little bit to center that loop on the rest of the pin. And then the head here at the end, I'm just going to cut that off. Now if you have loose wire, you can use loose wire as well, but head pins work just as well for this if that's what you have around. And I'm going to put my, oops, if I can find the hole here, I'm going to put, oops, I gotta look at this a little closer here. Oh, I got the head pin in there still. That's why it's not going in. That's what I get for getting ahead of myself. So I put my pearl on there. So now I've got a pearl with the loop at the other end instead of the head of the head pin. And now on this side, I'm going to just repeat the same process here to make the loop on this other side. And it doesn't really matter which way the loop is facing. You can always change it, and it's not going to affect the project. So here I've got one of my little pearls with a loop on both sides. So we'll keep him up there so I don't forget which one that is. So now that I've got my pieces together, I'm going to go ahead and assemble the project. I know I want my hoop here. I'm going to use my jump ring to attach my pieces down at the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and start there. And if you have 2, you're going to want to probably use 2 pliers here. You're going to grip on either side of that opening and just lift the ring. So you can see at the top here, if you look at it, it looks like you're uncoiling it. And that's what you want it to look like. And then we're going to put our little charms on that we want to hang from the loop. I'm going to put on a pearl and then my big drop here. and a couple more pearls. And just slide those on. And then I'm going to slide that onto the ring. And now I'm going to close this up. So I'm going to close this up in the same way that I opened it. I'm just going to now bring the two ends together to close that up. And here I've got the first part, or the bottom part, done here. So now at the top, I'm going to add my pearl here. And you want to make sure that these little loops that, that you made are closed, meaning that you don't have a large gap where the cut end of the wire or head pin meets with the rest of the wire. Because you want to make sure that that is closed, there isn't a big gap, so it's not going to slide off and your piece come undone. So on the one loop here on my pearl, I'm going to put my hoop and just close that up. And on the other side of the hoop, I'm going to attach my my ear wire here and close that up. And now my last piece that I have is this smaller crystal drop. And this little crystal drop, I'm actually going to hang from the bottom loop of my pearl up here, which is also connected to the ring. So I'm going to take this drop and open that ring a little bit. And then I'm going to actually attach this to, can be a little bit tricky here. I got to get a good grip on this. I'm going to attach this crystal to the loop that's going around the hoop. So I've got both the hoop and this crystal drop attached to the bottom loop of the pearl with two loops. And you can see here, I now have a completed earring. So I've just assembled, or I've just made all these little components and assembled them together. Now at the top here, you can adjust if your ring here on your pearl is sitting a little bit funky and it's twisting your project, it's not hanging the way you want it to from your ear wire. You can always take this and twist it back or forth a little bit to straighten it out, but you don't want to play too much with it because the more you play with the wire, the weaker it becomes and the more likely the wire may snap. So you want to be careful about that. There's my completed pair. Hope you guys enjoy making these and adapt them for all kinds of different beads. Love to see what you make, so post some ideas of your own on Facebook.